Season 2 patch 12.1 early Shaman preview. Hey guys, Petko here. Has been a couple of days ever since the patch came on PTR, and with that, as you guys already know, we have had our first days on PTR testing in Mythic Plus and also in Raid. And after this, I am ready finally to talk about how Ellie is doing so far next season. Do keep in mind, however, there's still roughly 6 more weeks until the season comes out, and there's gonna be a lot of changes going forward. Alright, so I'm gonna just briefly touch on the builds that you are gonna be playing. Now, I have tried, I think, more than 6 different builds, 3 Stormbringer builds and 3 Farseer builds, and I'll be honest, so far, Farseer actually played way better compared to Stormbringer. It had better single target, it had better sustained damage. However, on a burst notion, it seems like Stormbringer still holds a tremendous amount of value. But with the changes done to Tempest, if you guys didn't know, Tempest right now is slightly, well, not slightly, but definitely the nerf version of what we had in comparison to last season, which obviously is not optimal. I'm going to show you in a bit on talents exactly what they've changed and exactly what they've changed with Stormbringer. The only issue I'm having so far with Farseer is that you don't really have a parallel damage, right? So if you guys do keep a look, for example, on a Mythic Plus, where there's a lot of casters and, you know, boss enemies and a funnel, Farseer has, well, you don't have funnel, but it's just pretty minor compared to what, you know, Stormbringer, for example, can fit in. When it comes down to talents, they haven't really added anything new. So whatever you had, you're gonna have the same shit. The only relevant change that they've done so far from season 1 to season 2 is they nerfed Ascendance big time, but they increased the baseline damage of your spells, right? So which means your sustained damage is likely to go up and your burst damage is likely to go down. I'm gonna show you some talents later on. I'll show you what I've played, what I've tested, etc. That's fine. When it comes down to secondary stats, I believe the Ascendant, so the Stormbringer runs the same secondary stats so far, which is pretty much heavy mastery into crit haste, more crit than haste, obviously, a lot more crit than haste. While Farseer, for example, loves to have haste. I was testing with low haste. I think I had like around 18%, which is definitely lower than what I would love it to be. So technically, I could have done even better than what I did, but I cannot be too mad about it. You know, it is what it is at the end of the day. But Farseer did pretty well. Okay, so this is a small sample of how the rotation plays out. Once again, it's very similar to what Stormbringer used to have, except that you have no Tempest, which is gonna be something you gotta plan ahead, especially when it comes down to you know, planning damage cooldowns. I'm gonna stop the vote here, and I want to log into the game just to show you some samples. So this is pretty much what I have run through as a best talents. Now, the first thing you're gonna see here is Aftershock. Now, for the people that are not familiar, our new tier set is giving our baseline damage increase on our spenders, which is the 2-piece, and the 4-piece is actually rather pretty interesting, which makes our major spenders to be discounted, and you get to have a lot more than before, you know, the free spender cast. Now, with those free spender cast, it is a lot more likely that you're gonna end up playing Tectonic Collapse with Farseer. When it comes down to Stormbringer, you're likely gonna still play Aftershock due to the nice interaction between the hero talents and the Aftershock. Specifically for Farseer, I would prefer to have Tectonic Collapse. Now, actually, I did lie when they asked me about new talents. So there are some reworked talents. For example, Power of the Maelstrom has been reworked. For better or worse, you guys can obviously tell. I think it's definitely for better. This itself, the talent is gonna give you quite good heavy chunk of single target, which I'm happy about. You might flex play this in some dungeons, but for the most part, this should be the standard build. You still play 2 minutes Ascendance. Unfortunately, 3 minutes is not the play. Crackling Fury is a flexible point. Again, everything that I'm showing you today is just template talents. That's what I've run. That's what it played out better for me. But are they the best? I don't know. I mean, time's gonna tell. I'm pretty jealous about Lightning Rod. You can also pretty much go with Eye of the Storm plus Lightning Rod if you want to, or even go further down and go with a Primal Elementalist. The problem with that is because you are playing without Aftershock, you're gonna get a lot less lightning rods compared to Tempest, and also Tempest interacts very well with lightning rods. So that's why with this build I prefer to play Crackling Fury, which again, it's a lot more intense because you get to wave in fire spells at the same time as lightning spells, which again, it's a rather advantageous for me because, you know, everybody's bored out of Tempest, etc. So that's about it. Just gonna play a bit more of the vault so you guys can take a look. But once again, apply Voltic Blaze, right? You run your Stormkeeper as always. You cast Chain Lightning, you cast Earthquakes, and that's about it, right? You wave in Lava Surges every time you get Purging Flames, just to consume the Lava Burst, and voila. That's pretty much what it does. This build itself does very good single target. The sustained damage as well is also pretty okay. I mean, nothing crazy, and there are several busted specs right now, but you should not care about tuning. The next handful of weeks, tuning is absolutely relevant. You should look at design, and I believe the design of the tier set of Early Shaman so far is pretty good for the most part. At least I enjoyed. Yeah, I think that's the whole summary of Elemental. There are several good trinkets for you. I haven't figured out exactly what looks to be the best dungeon, the best trinket so far. I've played with a couple of them, but there's very good melee trinket that has agility and strength, and there are a handful of decent caster trinkets as well. But oh, this is sample, by the way. Even though they did nerf your burst damage, as you can see, a Fires here on 5 targets without bloodless, without potion, you're still peaking like 700 plus sustained damage. And if I had more haste here, for example, I could have even gotten way better damage output. I do cast a lot less elemental blasts, by the way, during Fires here, because my ancestors fire a random ele blast at the end, which is fine. But again, maybe with higher haste, I'm gonna implement more, you know, higher haste means higher chance for me to proc routine communion, which means more ancestors, which means pretty much more damage. I've played with both Latent Wisdom and Ancient Fellowship. This gives me like I did lose my lock somewhere. I need to check it again, but I believe Ancient Fellowship, it was just 2 RNG, while this was just more like flat out damage. You might higher roll better with this some packs. This can become probably more sustainable in the future, but whether you play one of those two makes no difference to me. You can play both. I mean, so far I'm gonna stick with Latent Wisdom, right? Not too bad. Yeah, I think that's everything, guys. So far, TLDR, Early Shaman looks to be doing still well in next season. Looks to be exceeding well in the raids. Mythic Plus is also a decent choice so far. Again, utility unchanged, defensive part unchanged. Very strong utility, good sustained damage, even better than before, I would say. It seems like we're moving away from the Stormbringer build. Our ST is doing pretty well. 2 targets still garbage, 3 targets still garbage. AoE, it's pretty good, still pretty good burst. So I am quite happy about Ellie. Again, I don't want to talk about tuning. Design-wise so far, especially if it comes to Vars here, thumbs up. Let's hope in the future they stay this way. That's all. If you like the breakdown, let me know. I will be posting videos soon about every single spec so far that I've tested and my thoughts about them. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys and see you tomorrow for more testing. Bye for now. Thank you for watching and follow for more.